I don't have the normal expectations in how you look, how you dress, how you fancy cars. I don't have any of that, and that's great. We have a meaning now, which is way more important than any of the stuff we had before. Hi everyone, my name's Emma. I'm one of the owners here at Tenerife Horse Rescue. Come and have a look around with us.
This video is sponsored by Kildwick, eco-friendly, cleverly designed compost toilets that are bringing comfort to every adventure.
And our lovely clay walls, which are built by the volunteers. We tried to make everything as natural as possible, and these are all built from the land. Smeagol, what are you doing? Digging in the plants. This is Smeagol. She's on all of our videos. This was like a trial. We just built it to try and see and practice. We call it like the chocolate house or cake house. We think it looks like a little cake, and it's just a trial to start, and it went really well. So now we're going to build a lot more on the new land to make rental eventually. And this is where the real magic is happening. We've got 21 horses, 2 donkeys, lots of dogs, about 20 something dogs, over 40 cats, goats, pigs, chickens, ducks, rabbits, really a lot. It took about a year of looking. To get the land is really complicated to have horses. There's a lot of specifications to be too close to a road, houses, etc., etc. We actually started on Fuerteventura, but it was almost impossible. So we came here and we just drove up and down every road, mainly in Arico because it was the cheapest area. And there was a lot of rustic land. We drove round and round and round, putting notes in on lands, like sticking it on rocks, and we did it here. We put it on the entrance, and then 2 weeks later they rang us, and it fit most of the specifications. Then we risked it and bought it. If you come here first thing in the morning, about 30 cats, they come in like this, and the dog station. These are the angry chickens. You hear the volunteers call them the angry birds, and they attack you if you go close. So stay away from them. And this one, he's quite a famous chicken, Megatron. He fell off the back of a meat truck just down the road, and someone brought him to us. And then we told the story, and the newspaper came and filmed him, and he's like a famous chicken. And he's a boss of the finca. So yeah, this is the main. We have the healthier paddock, which is these ones. We call this the giant paddock because they've got the biggest horses in. Poor cadet in the middle there, he's on recovery for 3 months, so he can't move because he had a problem with his tendon. And the back there is the danger paddock, the ones that bite. Oh, and of course we've got the female guinea pigs. We keep them separate so we don't end up with hundreds. They've had their breakfast, so there's not many out. Hey girlies. Smeegs. And these are the boy guinea pigs. We put their food inside cages, their water inside one and their food inside one, so that the ducks and chickens don't steal it. They can come out, but only they can get in and eat. All of our food comes from waste from supermarkets and local farms. We started off, honestly, dumpster diving because 1, it was sustainable, and 2, it was saving money. But then as we got bigger, we actually made agreements because we registered because we're already a charity, but now we registered as a food bank, so that therefore we can take all the waste food and we sort through it all, which you'll be able to see it come later. And so we sort what goes to the humans, what goes to the animals, and what doesn't then goes to the compost. So we use everything. And the only outgoing we have for humans is drinking water. The rest comes from waste. And if we didn't do it like that, honestly, it would be impossible to be this big, because that's how we get the volunteers that would do the work that allows us to rescue more animals. And it's really the key that made this work, honestly. Eating from the bin. We call it freegan. Well, this one is our storage room. This is all, as I was telling you before about the food that comes from the bin, all waste food. This is all food from the bin. That doesn't do a lot, but everything is just waste food. Except these, which was given to us as a donation. Somebody gave us a big donation of lentils and things like this. And the toilet roll, that was a donation as well. But everything else was from the bin. We have absolutely no help from the government, no help from anything. It's all from ourselves, meaning online, social media, YouTube. YouTube and Facebook are our main incomes, believe it or not. And which is really donations, sponsors, this type of thing. We save more money than we make, if that makes sense. We do such a good job at saving money where we can and being as sustainable that allows us to get bigger than the amount of money we make, if that makes sense. But yeah, it all comes from social media and sponsors, donations. More or less, it's around 4,000 euros a month just to break even. That's not to build. Well, it's to sort of do the building we're doing at the moment, but that's not including buying the new land and expanding. It's feeding the animals, maintenance, that type of thing, is around 3,500 to 4,000 euros a month. That's just on animals. We've got no paid members of staff. Everyone's volunteers. That's just to survive. And around here is all the volunteers. Another accommodation, but this, as I say, was break time, and this is all the volunteers. And they will come out here in the community area for having a break, and everyone doing all their different things. And it's a little bit of a mess around here, but there's 35 of us sharing, community area. We've got our pizza oven, and this is where people sort of sit around in the evening and socialise. And everyone realises here that you don't have all the modern things. You don't have TVs, and we don't have electric even half of the time. So everyone just sits around and enjoys conversation and company, and it works. It's lovely. This is the main kitchen, where the hub of the place where the action happens, and there's some breakfast left if you would like some. I'm gonna have some. So if you want some, you can.
I've saved you a plate.
Thank you.
And the pancakes are sugar-free.
Perfect. We have around 35, more or less, and over 20 of them have no plans to leave. The others, they say a couple of months, which normally is 6 months. I don't think any of the volunteers we have at the moment have a date to leave. I don't think, except one who's going on holiday for 2 months and then coming back. I think it's probably not normal because even in our time, at the beginning, people would stay for 1, 2, 3 months and then move on, just on a travelling scheme. But it's something so special has happened, and such an amazing community of people. I don't know, maybe it's to do with the world at the moment, I don't know, but it works so well that they don't plan to leave. And if they do, they go away for 2, 3 months and then come back again. So yeah, this, although it just looks like a pile of poo, it sort of is. This is how we heat our hot water. And this under here is just horse poo. And in the middle, we have all the pipes. So you put the horse poo in the rugs to keep it, and then you get it wet about once a week, I think. And it keeps it super hot. I could be wrong, but he said around 70 to 80 degrees. And it was, if you touch it, maybe it's pretty disgusting, you don't want to, but that's how it keeps it hot. And and then the hot water comes out, and so these are our showers. And our and our washing machine. And this is how we wash our clothes, with a bicycle pedal. And that's how we wash our clothes. And obviously it's super sunny, so then it dries really easy. As anything that we can be as sustainable as possible. This here, underground here, is where the water from the bathroom goes. And it goes through air, we call it a poo bubbler. It's, I don't know the real term, but it cleans with bubbles and air, and then it gets pumped up through another system, and then it goes through a reed bed, and then it's cleaned through the plants remainder, and then to the garden. So that's how our water system works. Well, I can show you some of the other accommodation where some of the volunteers live, if you like, which I think I've shown you most of it that's on our current land. So this will be the hub of our new land, which is the bit we're in the process of trying to buy. And we're going to make the community area here. But at the moment we have a few volunteers. We've got one staying in his own caravan there. He came in that one. And he's been there for 1.5 years now. And this van we just got, it was on up the road. We just paid someone to deliver it here, and we just made it into a home. This is our little, it was our trial because none of us had ever converted a van into a home before, so we just had a go. And yeah, we did a cute job. It was a teeny tiny little home. When we got it, you can't open the doors anymore. We had to weld them shut. And there was a huge hole in the floor, a huge hole in the roof. Like another bit of volunteer who's staying down there. He's actually on his van, it's out, so you can't see it, but he normally has his van here, but he's made himself a little garden, and they just do because they just move in. And this is our next project to turn into a van. It's actually like spares and repairs for our other van, because we've got one that's our actual using van. And this is the same van, so we've got it for the parts, and we're going to make that into a bedroom next. We did not expect it to be this big. Well, I always sort of had an idea that I wanted to have a small farm, and then when I got Iggy, my dog, I saw the way of rescuing, and then I wanted to go more into that. And then I moved to the Canary Islands, and I saw how much it needed here, and then I met Edu. And he liked the idea as well, so it evolved from there. But we really thought it would just be us and a small, maybe a few horses, a few dogs, and did not expect it to be like this big, not at all. Okay, so this is our compost area. The chickens, as you can see, do the start of the work for us. We bring all the horse poo up and the wasted vegetables. The chickens start scrapping and pooping in it and starting. And this is all the wasted vegetables, and you've seen our storage, and then we've got an animal storage, and we still get this much waste. So, and then we get the more horse poo, and what they do is, well, they had one that broke today, that's why it's all here. But they do I think each one is a week, and then they turn it into the next one and get it wet and turn it, and it lasts, is it 3 months that it takes?
No, 5.
Oh, 5 months to turn into real compost, which then hopefully we're going to sell to make money to rescue animals. So we use their poo, waste rubbish, volunteers, and make a full cycle that then we can sell it. We I think, just almost finished the first lot, and now people are testing it, and so far going really well. We have a lot of plans in the next 2 years. As the new land, which I was talking about, this is 6,500 square meters. The new land's 20,000 square meters. Yeah. So we're going to do a big track system for the horses. And in the middle, we're going to make another holiday rental area, which is going to be like glamping, permanent tents with glass tops probably. And then hopefully by then also we will be signed off so we can open legally permanently and have people come in for a donation to see the animals. I don't know if this is going to be in the next 2 years, but it depends on our paperwork. We want to work with schools and do workshops on animal welfare, sustainable projects, sustainable living, do workshops on bottle walls, barefoot trimming, all of our speciality things. So this is where we live, in our little caravan, but we have the best view of the finca, so we can oversee, and the dogs. right, guys. So, hey, Foxy. Yeah, when we rescued her, she was totally wild and we couldn't touch her. Hey, Foxy. You're doing good now. But we have to keep her in here because we still can't put a lead on her. So you have to probably excuse the mess here. We don't spend much time in our caravan because we're always out. But we have the best view so we can check what's happening, and if there's a problem in the night, we can see everything that's happening, and it's a really easy place to be. And this is where we sleep sometimes at night if it's really hot. And we're trying to grow plants, but I honestly forget to water them a lot of the time, so they are growing. So, welcome to our caravan. Yeah, we love it. When we got it, it was totally disgusting. We had to scrape off the dirt and cigarette stains everywhere. But caravans are really expensive on the island, so we bought it because it was so disgusting that we could then do it up. But all the windows are broken and, but it works. We've managed to make it our own. This is where we thought we would spend a lot of time sitting. We don't. This is just where 7 dogs sleep at night. And yeah, this is my stuff, Edu's stuff. And we even managed to make a tiny, tiny bathroom in here. Very, very tiny, is that? That's only big enough for me to fit in. But it is sustainable because we have the sink, which the water then goes directly into the toilet. And so we made a little sustainable bathroom. And this is our bedroom. And Catty, the caravan cat, Anya. She spends most of her time on the bed. And this is Iggy. I've had him since I was 18. And he is the reason that we are actually here, because I rescued him first, and I didn't mean to. I rescued him accidentally, and it showed the way of rescuing animals, and it, I'm sure developed my entire life was from him. So he's the mascot. This is him. Iggy, this is your moment to shine, and you're just scratching. So yeah, this is where it all started. My old boy. Yeah, so he came from England with me. My life has always been a bit alternative. In fact, I've never really lived in a house since I left home. I lived in caravans, I lived in boats, I lived in workshops. So I never really had the normal life, but I suppose I could tell you the things which I missed and didn't expect to be able to live without, but I can, which is a reliable hot shower, a reliable electricity, and actually all of the electric things you take for granted, we don't have these things anymore, and I don't miss them at all. I've never been a material person. I never really had things. I mean, I used to wear makeup and care how I looked and make the effort and things like that. And so I always have a mirror with me and a brush. I don't even own a brush now. So, so yeah, I've changed in that. But 3 things I need now is the people around, the good company, good food. Would you believe that our food now is amazing? And I just used to eat convenience food. Now we have amazing food because the volunteers cook it fresh, because we only get the produce from the bin. So now that's changed. And I think the lack of normal pressure, I don't have the normal expectations in how you look, how you dress, how you fancy cars, this stuff. I don't have any of that, and that's great. We have a meaning now, which is way more important than any of the stuff we had before. I have no idea if it's been cleaned. Yeah, I don't know, because I didn't prepare for this at all. So, this is the yurt. And in the future we will rent it out for tourists, and we have people who want to come, but at the moment we're not legally able to do it until we've finished our paperwork. So we rent it out, or we give it for free for influencers to come and stay, and then make videos about us and things like this. And we call this Machu Picchu because It looks a bit. And everything was built from waste material and by our volunteers. Every single thing from the door was just waste wood. We dug out the hole, the volunteers, with hand drills, like a Kango drill, and built the stone wall from Edu, built the wall with his friend. The volunteers did this out of recycled tiles and recycled wood, and the bathroom is amazing. And this was built by one of our volunteers from stones from our land, and everything's been totally made all by volunteers. And these are doors that we found in the bin, the wall, and yeah, everything other than the fridge is recycled. Dory's story. Yeah, I mean, all of the stories are really, really sad, and there's a lot that are really common, but there was something about her because she'd suffered for so long and she was still fighting, and her owners were not what you consider horrible people. They didn't know. It's education, it's ignorance. They did what they thought was right. They fed her. She couldn't eat the food because of her broken jaw, but they still gave her the food. They gave her clean water, they gave her a clean stable, they even put shoes on her feet. So they did what they thought was right. And they were lovely people. They were crying their eyes out as we took this horse away who could barely stand up. And that's the saddest thing, I think, is that it comes from the lack of education and ignorance. And you have to see this, and you have to bite your tongue to not be so angry with all these people, because that won't do anything. You have to fight bigger to try and get the platform to change the education. And I think her story made that so clear, that the suffering is so common here because people do not know better. And that was incredibly painful because she was so loving, and although she couldn't eat, she couldn't walk, she tried so hard. And watching the community come together to stay every second of the day with her throughout the night, everyone stayed up and did shifts and stayed with her, and that was amazing to see. And unfortunately she didn't win the battle, but her legacy will live on, and Dory's story is to try and fight to save. I've seen it a lot, but my volunteers haven't. And to see big, strong guys laying down with her for, 5 hours while she was there and crying their eyes out, she touched a lot of people, Dory. We know we're doing something right, and if we don't do it, no one else will. There is no other horse sanctuary here. Who's going to help these horses if we don't do it? And more often than not, that factor, that like core belief that we're doing something really good, and the amount of support that we have, which encourages us that we're doing the right thing, that brings you above the pain, because that's yes, it's painful for me, but it's more painful for these animals. So I don't know how to say that. I feel like it would be selfish of me to give up because it's just making me sad, but actually the amount of good I could be doing, it outweighs anything that could make me sad. Some days it's stressful, and I think, would I like a break? I mean, I had one day off this weekend, which was the first time in about 6 months. So yeah, sometimes I'm tired, but you only have to look around and see all these animals, and then you know you're doing the right thing. Here we've got Mitzi Clicker Training Turbo. He's one of our oldest horses. He was actually a show jumping horse on the island, and he was famous for winning everything, but then he got old and then was considered worthless, and he got abandoned twice, and then until eventually we got him. And she's doing some target training with him just to try and encourage him to enjoy. We do all of our training with positive reinforcement and clicker training treats to make they don't have to work anymore. We want to do stuff that they enjoy, and then we listen to them and only do things that they want to do. And she's trying to teach him to walk, actually, because he doesn't want to do anything. So we're trying to encourage him to want to do it other than forcing him, because he gets arthritis and we need him to move. And until we have our track system, all of the animals rely on us to move them because they haven't got enough space. Here is not big enough. It's probably one of the biggest you'll see on the island, but it's not big enough for the amount of movement horses need. And so they rely on us, and he's just learning what a target is. Every time he touches the target, he gets a click and a treat, and that's how he learns what the clicker is. Well, you only live once. I know the cliche comment, but you do. And yeah, you can stay in your own comfort zone, but that's boring, right? You're never going to get anything done. But if everybody stayed in their comfort zone, nothing would happen. You know, no one would build enterprises or charities or things, and nobody would go traveling and explore the world. I mean, maybe not everyone does it, but it's better to try and fail and then not try. You know, for me, I think there's nothing worse or more ungrateful than being bored. You've only got one life, and I think to be bored is really ungrateful. There's plenty of people that, you know, may have reasons why they can't do things, and I think that's really ungrateful for you not to live your life when you have a chance, when other people can, and great things can happen.